Welcome back, dear K-EntBuzz family. Today, we invite you to breathe with us a little slower, dream a little deeper, and feel a little more as we take you into a tale of tenderness, resilience, and enduring connection. In a world so often shaped by silence and stardom, two hearts, Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan, have dared to write their own language of love. And now, the world has finally opened its eyes. The world has finally called them love. They didn't ask for the world to understand them. They never shouted their truth from rooftops or posed for headlines soaked in romance. Instead, they chose stillness. They chose quiet loyalty. They chose each other, in shadows, in silence, and in those precious, fleeting moments that slipped past the cameras. Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan, two souls who collided under the glare of fame, found something deeper than the world could immediately name. At first, they were just co-stars, then companions, then something more. Their love was never loud, but it was always there, alive in the glances that lingered a second too long, the smiles that meant more than words, and the spaces they carved out of their chaotic lives just to be near each other. And while the world kept asking, "What are they?" they never needed to answer, because they knew. This is not just the story of a romance. It's the story of what happens when love is patient, when love is brave, and when two people hold on long enough for the world to finally see what they always knew. Let's journey together through the quiet glances, the private promises, and the storm they walked through just to hold each other a little closer, for a little longer, until a little became forever. It all began in quiet, almost invisible ways. Neither Wang Yibo nor Xiao Zhan sought the spotlight when it came to their hearts. After the Untamed sparked global obsession and catapulted them into international fame, the chemistry that sizzled on screen left millions breathless. But what fans couldn't stop replaying in their minds were not just the scenes crafted by directors, but the unscripted, unspoken moments between takes. A touch on the arm, a shared laugh behind the scenes. The way Yibo's eyes softened only when Zhan was near, and how Zhan's laughter seemed fuller when Yibo was by his side. Was it acting? Maybe. Was it something more? The world debated, speculated, imagined. But beneath the noise, only two hearts knew the truth. After the Untamed, their careers took separate trajectories. Awards, endorsements, dramas, and music filled their schedules. And yet, time and again, they found their way back to each other, sometimes in secret, sometimes in shadow. Yibo would drop cryptic captions, lines only Xiao Zhan could truly understand. Zhan, ever the poetic soul, would wear Yibo's favorite color or quote a lyric from a song only they shared. The world tried to bury their story. Rumors would surface, only to be squashed by silence. But their silence wasn't empty. It was a quiet rebellion. It was love, waiting for a safer tomorrow. That tomorrow didn't come quickly. There were years when their interactions vanished entirely from the public eye. Fans feared the worst. The industry, ever watchful and often cruel, made it difficult for them to exist even as close friends. But they endured. Behind high walls and locked doors, they carved out a space where they could just be, no labels, no cameras, just Yibo and Zhan. Just the boy who taught the other how to ride motorcycles, and the one who reminded him how to laugh with abandon. And then, something shifted. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. But slowly, carefully, the curtain began to lift. Yibo started producing music with more vulnerability. His lyrics hinted at devotion, at waiting, at finding home in another's eyes. Xiao Zhan's paintings, often shared discreetly online, were splashed with blues and greens, with silhouettes of two figures standing quietly under a night sky. Fans who looked closely saw it. Two lives still orbiting each other, quietly drawing constellations out of chaos. Then came the unspoken confirmation, an accidental photo, a shared bracelet, a blurred reflection in a mirror behind them. Not proofs, perhaps, but petals of truth, soft and undeniable. And then, just when fans had stopped hoping for anything official, the day came. It was an ordinary spring morning, the kind that smells like blooming jasmine and quiet promises. Xiao Zhan posted a simple message. To love is to be brave. I am no longer afraid. Moments later, Wang Yibo followed. They always asked who I ride for. Now they know. Accompanying the post was a photo, black and white, intimate and understated. No faces, just hands, intertwined, steady. A single ring on each finger. The internet erupted, but this time not with anger or disbelief. Something had changed. The world, perhaps tired of pretending, perhaps finally matured, leaned in with open arms. Messages of support flooded in. Celebrities, fellow artists, even international fans who knew nothing of Mandarin but everything about love, joined in the celebration. The world had finally called them love. And what came next felt like the blooming of a long frozen garden. Together, they made subtle appearances, never loud, never performative. A shared interview where Xiao Zhan looked at Yibo like he was his favorite sunrise. A fashion shoot where their fingers brushed just slightly, but the air between them sparkled. Yibo smiling more freely, Zhan laughing like the weight had finally lifted. Then came the rumors of a home tucked away in the outskirts of Hangzhou, surrounded by trees and silence. Of adopted dogs, a piano in the living room, a motorcycle parked beside a blooming cherry tree. Of dinners with family. Of weekend grocery runs. Of 2 toothbrushes in 1 bathroom. And then the biggest step of all, family. In an emotionally moving interview, Xiao Zhan, never one to speak openly, shared, "Love isn't about how loud you are. It's about who stays, who shows up, who holds your hand when the world feels too heavy." He paused, looked off camera, then added, "I've found my always." Not long after, whispers began of the couple exploring fatherhood. Not conventionally, not loudly, but quietly, beautifully. Whether through adoption or other means, the idea wasn't to prove anything, but to expand their circle of love. Friends close to them shared how Yibo would melt watching children play, how Zhan had been seen reading parenting books. Not because they needed to do it for anyone else, but because they wanted to build something that bore both their names, both their souls. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were living, building, dreaming. And this time, with the world no longer trying to shut the door. Their story is not a fairy tale. It's a testament to the courage it takes to hold on in silence. So yes, the world finally called them love. But before that, they were already everything to each other. Now, when Wang Yibo stands on stage and scans the crowd, his eyes always find one quiet corner where a man with stars in his eyes waits with a gentle smile. When Xiao Zhan paints now, his colors are bolder. He paints with joy, because his muse no longer lives in shadow. Because now, they are no longer a secret. Let us know in the comments, K-EntBuzz family, were you one of the believers from the beginning? Or did this story surprise you? What moment melted your heart the most? If you loved this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this beautiful journey. Until next time, keep believing in the kind of love that waits, that fights, that lasts forever.